to say something about my understanding of the title of the topic. The Bhagavad Gita is a sermon given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna prescribing the right methods of leading a good life. The teaching of the Bhagavad Gita are universal and relevant to everybody across the world. The coming back to the topic chosen for the seminar is exceedingly important for all time and has a contemporary relevance. The search for the knower and its inquiry started 5,000 years back. It has references in the Shruti text, 108 Upanishads as well as Bhagavad Gita, the search for the knower being highlighted in various ways. Bhagavad Gita consists of 18 chapters. The first six chapters describes Karma Yoga, as already been said by Professor Asishina, the path of duty. Other chapters speak about Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita introduces two terms, Kshetra, the field, and the Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. The field we can simply as body, which consists of mind, intellect, ego, and sense organs. The soul as the knower of the field. In a broader terms, we can say that there are two components. One is the material component and the other is the spiritual component. By knowing the knower, we can remove the limitations of mind, ego, plurality, duality, and reach to a state of Satchidanand. About the knower, various explanation has given by the Shruti text. Distinction between prayers and shreyas in Kathopanishad, simile of two birds in Kenopanishad, one is eating the fruits and the other is simply watching Pratibodha Vididam, and the distinction between Sakshi Chaitanya and Vritti Chaitanya in Vedanta philosophy. I would conclude just citing the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, how Indian mind perceives the reality. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, a movement from plurality to unity is reported in the discussion which took place between Sakalya and Yajnavalkya. How many gods are there? Asks Sakalya. 3,306, replies Yajnavalkya. Later on, he confessed by saying there are only 33, then 6, then 3, then 2. At last, he says, there is nothing but one God, and all others are the powers of the one. And that is what we see the knower in our tradition. Over to Swastika. You will introduce Dr. T.P. Sasikumar sir.
Jayanti ma'am, leave it. No introduction. Just skip it. Take off the display. So how much time I have now?
Sir, you have 45 minutes.
It's up to 5:15.
Yes, sir, 5:15.
Okay, good. So thank you, Swastika, for not introducing me. Okay, you can take out that display. My name is not required. I can see, at least I can see few faces. It will be good. Yeah. Close the display. Yeah. Good. At least now I know that there are few people, if though at least by name, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, I got into Bhagavad Gita probably by mistake when Mahatma Gandhi's book. If you have pen and paper, you must write it down, or this will come on the YouTube. Bhagavad Gita, there are a lot of interpretations by many experts, starting from Shankara to today also you will see some people writing. Yeah. But my stepping upon Bhagavad Gita was from the book which our great expert on this subject, Professor Sinha Sahab, the ICPR chairman, mentioned about Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi wrote a book called Gita, My Mother. It's not the bhakti to Bhagavan which is important. Probably the practical bhakti is the bhakti which you have towards your mother. That bhakti is immensely powerful because you have full trust that your mother will help you when you are in real trouble. So probably the bhakti of Bhagavad Gita in Mahatma Gandhi's all actions can be seen because he had the ability to overcome almost all the conflicts which he had in the political scenario. So he was a highly spiritual man with a political outlook. Whenever he had some problem in his day-to-day affair of dealing with people, and that you imagine that's a great time when he has to fight with Britishers, and then he is proclaiming people not to be in violence. When somebody is trying to shoot you, will you be able to say Ram Ram? It's very, very difficult. And that is in the yoga pattern. We have got Ashtanga Yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, in which Yama is non-violence. I keep saying Mahatma Gandhi is the one person who reached the first level of yoga but totally surrendered himself to apply in his life. Therefore, when you have lot of problems outside and you have to be different, you need lot of courage. Definitely your mind will not be that peaceful. That's why there is a great proverb called Mahatma Gandhi to conflictology. Is like Einstein to physics. Einstein had this problem on physics, all the time thinking about that. Similarly, Mahatma Gandhi was always thinking about his problems, and that problem is lot of conflict between the bhakti which he had is in manas, the heart, the thoughts, the feelings, that is the bhakti, and the intellectual brain which has to deal with the public. Sinhaji clearly summed up the second chapter by talking about the Sthita Prajna. The 56th sloka, second chapter, is the most famous, or maybe which I like maximum. Arjuna asks a question to Krishna, Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha. How to speak like a Sthita Prajna. See, this is very, very practical, because most of the people wanted to be, look like, speak like, though they don't have. You speak like an expert, then people think you are an expert, right? So Arjuna don't know how to become without conflict, how to become a Sthita Prajna. How to control his buddhi and manas conflict. That is what is conflict. Arjuna had good conflict. His responsibility as a king, as a brother of Dharmaputra, is asking him to fight. But his manas had got lot of love towards his relatives, and he says, I don't want to kill my guru. I don't want to kill my grandfather. So that is, don't say that Arjuna did not have attachment. He had attachment. So Bhagavad Gita never say you should not have attachment. But then that attachment should not be with some individual. It has to be with something else. The diversion is what is happening. It is no revolution. Bhagavad Gita is not a revolutionary activity. Otherwise, Krishna would have just put some, his Sudarshana Chakram and killed everybody. He wants a change to happen in the people who are going to be rulers tomorrow, not like the rulers of today. The rulers of today are his own cousin brothers. He could have suggested Pandavas to accept. Pandavas would have been wisely accepted all these, and then the war should not have been there. But that is not what Krishna wanted. Krishna wanted to give a message, or maybe Vyasa wanted to give a message. So it is not speaking like an expert, speaking like a great person, speaking like somebody who is a Sthita Prajna. So the question was how a Sthita Prajna will talk. Sthita Prajna se ka bhasha. The 54th sloka, I think. I'll have to refer to know the number. Once that was asked, Arjuna is not giving direct answer to his question how is the Prajna answers. But instead of that, the answer was Sthita Prajnasya bhasha was the question, but the answer happens to be Dukheshu anudignamana sukheshu vigataspruha vidaraga bhaya krodha stitatir muniruchyate. How you are controlling with all your vibrations. Correct, it is 54th sloka. I was just referring that. How do you control? It is not controlling. How do you treat them well? Equal. Dukkham, sukham. Gam is space. Sukham is good space. Dukkham is bad space. How do you don't distinguish this? And also, Krishna had lot of attachment to Arjuna because he loved him. Otherwise, if I don't have attachment to somebody, how do I teach? So it's actually, how do you make it equal? Balancing is what is important. So I am not going to deal the subject today because tomorrow also I have to speak. And unless you have got a base, and as Jayanti Sahu, who is responsible for this conference, who invited me, was telling that how that has got a practical application. You are only a materialistic object. Manushya Rubena Mrgashcharanti, with the two animal who is hunting for some livelihood because you want to make your food available. So you are at a physiological level only. You have not reached higher. The belongingness is love is philosophy. That is, knowledge is your love. Love for knowledge. The meaning of philosophy is that. And if you don't have that, you have only social needs. You may jump skipping that love, then probably you will never achieve self-esteem. The dignity will not be there. You cannot create an image. The image is created by your power and position, but not by you, which somehow you get it. Therefore, what will happen? You will end up in desperate condition. At the end of your life, you will feel, yeah, I should not have done all this. That is what will happen. That is what Bhagavad Gita says. That's the practicability, as Dr. Jayanti said. What is true success is what is to be understood. What is true success? Achieving the purpose of life that is success. What is purpose? So, if success is achieving the purpose of life, the next question is, what is purpose of life? So, then we have to say the Purusharthas. Purushartha generally explained in a different style, but I will explain, or maybe generally explained in some way, I will explain in a different style. According to me, Purushartha is Kama, Artha, Dharma, Moksha. The sequence may be slightly different by many people. Why is it so? Everyone should have desire. If you don't have desire, you are not a life. You don't have life. If you have life, definitely there is desire. So, you ask a animal, a lion can hunt its and eat. And if a human being is not able to get whatever they want, how can you call human being as a higher animal than a lion? So I must be able to achieve what I want. That is actually the desire. The desire is kama. The kama needs to be satisfied. All indriyas are open and it's all given by God. Nothing wrong. If there is something beautiful to see, I will put my eyes there. Nobody can stop me. If there is a sound which is coming, I cannot stop. My ears are active. If some tasty food is there, definitely I like to taste it. Why should I control myself? That's unacceptable. So, desire is there, kama is there. Artha. What makes me an opportunity to taste the best food? Who will give me? What is my mode of achieving what I want in my life? Assume that I want to see the best place. What do? I have to travel to that place. How do I travel to that place is my basic question. That means of achieving what I want is called a artha. But then assume that nobody is sponsoring and I don't have money. But I like to get something. I want a chair. I want to achieve a chair. I want to be the head of an institution. But then I don't have sufficient qualification. What do? You will see all sort of people in Mahabharata. They also change their birth certificate. That is how Karna reached into, and who will? Generally, he will not be accepted by wise people. But definitely politicians will come and support. That is why Duryodhana came and supported Karna. He gave a certificate that you are a king. Therefore, now you can fight. Otherwise, Bhutaputra cannot fight. So, all these characters you can see. Now, if you are not dharmic, you are not doing it in straightforward manner which is accepted by the large society. There will be a small society which is accepted. The other day we had, Sinhasa was also there, a webinar on Yuga Dharma. I was telling the proportions in which soon after Sinhasa presentation was there, I had a chance to talk for few minutes. I was expanding and quoting Sinhasa that this is what he said. In Satya Yuga, everybody was good. So Punya to Papa ratio was 10:0. Punya Papa was not there. Everybody was doing good. So there was no conflict at all. They were with nature. Whatever nature says, they did. So what is Satya Yuga? It is living in nature. And then when you come to Treta Yuga, the ratio between the Punya and Papa became 8:2. And the conflict was between societies. That is why you will see it is not fight between Rama and Ravana. It is a society in one place and society in another place. It is not in same place two societies. Societies are in different geographical locations. That's how the fight happened. Now then when it comes to Dwapara Yuga, what happened? It is in same family, same people. So therefore it is between two families. As Jayanti Sahu said, it is almost 5,000 years. It's true. But we have not conflict, not only 5,000 years old. There is a small correction. The hunting for knowing is part of every living being. Therefore, it is not 5,000 years of seeking what is correct, what is wrong. Otherwise, Rama would not have been the Uttama Purusha. The certificate he will not get. Ravana was also there. So there was a difference. And it was understood by Ravana's brother himself. So, but understand it is almost 1,728 years back Satya Yuga. 1,296 years for Satya Yuga and 2 Treta Yuga. The Dwapara Yuga is 864,000 years. Because Kali Yuga is 432,000 years. 432,000 years multiplied by 2, multiplied by 3, multiplied by 4. So if there is some error, you must forgive. I was just doing it in my mind. So when this is being done, I can do it almost good because I'm a mathematician, right? Yeah. If I make a mistake, then I am disowning myself as a mathematician. So what is that difference between one generation to another generation? They were all living in Satya Yuga, and up to Dwapara Yuga probably a greater love towards everybody, each other. That is why there was a conflict in Arjuna whether to fight with his own relatives. Today in Kali Yuga, what happened? You don't have anything to think. The brothers, sisters, parents, children, Guru to Shishya, Shishya to Guru, everywhere you will see people fighting each other. They don't mind at all. Knowing or unknowingly or wherever you have, there are a lot of people who are conflicting. But not that alone. The biggest fight is within people themselves. There is a self-fight. My mind is saying something, my heart is saying something, I don't know what is to be done. The conflict is inside you. So the conflictology which Mahatma Gandhi had, and that got a solution from what is written at the end of Dwapara Yuga. So understand, that was the beauty of Bhagavad Gita. That is why the world's most popular book, which would have been accepted by the whole world, is Bhagavad Gita. So I'm sure we are blessed to have that book. What is it talking about? It talks about two different aspects of human being. Maslow's principle. Say Maslow's principle. The first few steps are all materialistic. The materialistic life to spiritual life. How do I take care of this? Bhagavad Gita never says that you don't have to be materialistic. You can look at, there are a lot of interpretations, lectures by many people. If you listen to them, it will really confuse you. I was literally confused, therefore I have to go to the deep root, understand, talk about Bhagavad Gita many times and interpret myself. read 100 times probably same sloka to understand what is inside. So what Bhagavad Gita says is not stop a materialistic life and get into spiritual life. Then he would have never asked Arjuna to fight. He would have told, yeah, tata, bye bye, let us go and then do no penance, let us go to forest. He wants to have Arjuna in place for ruling the country. 100% that is what is required. Therefore, it is more of a karma yoga for which Arjuna was not totally convinced, then bhakti has to be put in. Now, this lecture is for making you to write some examination. There is some syllabus, something somebody has to read. That is why Bhagavad Gita lecture or maybe this topic is created. That is karma yoga. Because you have to get a certificate, you have to get something. For what is the question next? And then to whom you should call for lecture? Yeah, somebody who can impress. How do you impress somebody? That is love. That is the basic love. So when Krishna talked about Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, whoever is talking about Bhagavad Gita to a listener, the speaker is Krishna and the listener is Arjuna. When that was happening, Arjuna was not convinced. Who is this man? Why should I listen from my friends? Because Krishna and Arjuna was only friends. They never had bhakti within them. Friends don't have bhakti. I can tell anything to my friend. But when I have bhakti, I must be careful. I must give respect. So, because it was not given, it took 9 chapters and to show that, the Vishwarupam, to create bhakti. That is why the first part is only Jnanam. First part is conflict only. Arjuna Vishada Yogam. All conflict, all the problems, grievances. And after the grievance is over, the solution did not come immediately in the second chapter. Immediately second chapter, the abstract is given. Second chapter is the abstract of Bhagavad Gita, the essence of Bhagavad Gita. That's why if you read Bhagavad Gita second chapter, you will know most of the Bhagavad Gita portion. But that was not enough. First he tried giving the abstract. A synopsis was given. Introduction was given. That was not acceptable to Arjuna. He had a lot of questions. Once that questions are there, he answered most of the questions by few chapters, 6-7 chapters, up to 9th chapter. Not enough. Then he has to show who is this master who is giving you lecture. You have to listen to me because I am Vishwarupa. Was shown to him to show his speciality. Then bhakti came. That is why bhakti comes later. And then the summing up comes when actually what is Bhagavad Gita's message is how to rule this. Rajavidya, Rajaguhya Yogam. One of the most important yoga in the Bhagavad Gita is Rajavidya, Rajaguhya Yogam. In which, how do you apply, why somebody wanted to rule the country? Powerful. Because he is materialistic. He wanted to show his power, position. He is like a Kshatriya. The Kshatriyas cannot be totally spiritual. Bhikshandehi, and then he cannot go out of his palace. He has to show his Rajavidya. So, the Rajavidya, Rajaguhya Yogam, and that is the most secret. How do you manage? How do you run? How do you administer? So, it's a beautiful book on administration. Administration is neither Vidya nor the skill to do things. It is much higher, a mix of knowledge plus action together. Therefore, though there are only 3 Vidya, a combination of these two, the theoretical knowledge, all the wisdom knowledge added together with the action in a practical situation, what is required for an organization to run. That ability was gifted by Krishna to Arjuna. Therefore, how do you do that? That is actually done with a lot of bhakti, understanding the higher self. That is the spirituality. So, it is an alignment between the spirituality and the materialism. Actually, materialism and spirituality is truly conflicting. If you are highly spiritual, you cannot be materialistic. But what Bhagavad Gita says, you must balance. How do you balance? I will give a practical example. If I go to somebody's house, I am going to Dr. Jayanti's house, and then Jayanti is asking, I make chai for you. Do you like to have chai? No, I say I don't like to have chai. But already I made, sir. Okay, then I don't mind having it. So I don't have a bondage to chai. I don't have a bondage to the coffee. I don't have choices. If I don't drink tea or coffee, it will not hamper me. But I don't mind. I don't mind. So it is an acceptance to every reality which is around you. But inner self, you are not bothering too much of not having it. Therefore, the better word to be used is I don't have bondage to something, but I have attachment to this world and the life. If I don't have attachment, progress is not there. If I am not unsatisfied, I will not work. But I am happy. So it exactly differentiates between satisfaction, happiness, unsatisfaction, unhappiness. I am not satisfied because as a human being, if I don't develop, then there is no progress in the world. Therefore, I must go to the reality world, understand my inner self, and then bridge the gap between them, between the materialistic and the humanistic nature, that is materialistic nature, to the godly nature, that is the spiritual nature. So what should I do? I should accept both, recognizing its differences, conflict, attachment, detachment, bondage, everything has to be understood. So I decide from time to time, place to place, people to people, where, when, why, how, what, how I do it has to be decided by my virtue of both knowledge and the spirituality and the to whom I am doing. That is bhakti. It is not that I do it everywhere, every time, every place. That should not be done. So I am not ignorant about the fact that there is a higher level life which needs to be looked at not by development, by progress. A progress by step understanding the requirement, understanding the nature around me, understanding what is correct for many number of people, not few number of people who may be highly materialistic. Therefore, I have to throw out Duryodhana, who is highly materialistic in his life, from satisfying the larger portion of the society who wanted to be dharmic, who are to be ruled dharmically. A righteous ruler has to come into place. So it is my attachment towards my people who of the country which makes to me be active. If that is not there, why should I rule the country? There are one portion, the Duryodhana group is ruling the country because they are materialistic, they want power position. But Arjuna is also ruling country, action is same, but only outlook is different. What is the difference in outlook? One is materialistic, the other one is spiritually thinking, but working in the materialistic world. Action comes only with the material. Action is not there, materialistic thinking is not there. So there is a balanced view. Like what we have to say is 80 to 20, 20 to 80. My spiritual nature is 80. See, politics is all politics. Politics is full of politics. We know politricks. But then Mahatma Gandhi was in politics with a 80% spirituality, 20% politics. That is what the difference is. But probably there could be people with 80% politics and 20% spirituality also today. You have to make a difference between them and understand. What is that you require that point of time to be active, to give a better rule in the country. That is what Arjuna was advised by Krishna. So that advice is by giving him the knowledge of the higher self. What is the higher self? What is the path to be chosen between material and spiritual? If you go in spiritual, you will become unhappy. Because in spiritual world, when you take a path, assume that foregoing all my senses, I am not satisfying my desires in my life. Then what will happen? After some time, I will feel, yeah, I should have enjoyed my life. And that is why some of the so-called sannyasis or people who are into saintly people, they do a lot of mistakes in their life. Because they did not detach themselves from their worldly life. Though they got attached from their house to attached to an ashram. For a detached person, ashram also doesn't matter. He doesn't have to have his own ashram. His name should not come as in the ashram. So he has an attachment to ashram. That is also attachment only. And then he will have popularity. That is his next step. They will advertise themselves. They will they will start selling their products. These are all part of being materialistic. When they become famous, they will start a business. So, is it spirituality? So they have not got out of the materialistic accept. Nothing wrong in that. So how do you balance it? The excess materialism to a lower materialism. Say 80% spirituality and 20% materialistic. That is a big golden balancing. We can say it's a golden balance. The question is, how do I do that golden balance? The Hindu scriptures has got an answer for this also. Because we say that everyone should have a time to learn. So where is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga in Grihasthasrama. You start learning during Grihasthasrama. When you come to for Grihasthasrama to run the life, what you should need? You need an expertise, you need a job, you need money. So that you learn during your Brahmacharya. So Brahmacharyam is the time when you invest time on the Jnanam, knowledge. And then come to Grihasthasram, you must build a house, you must have your children. See, you cannot stop development in this world, because even every sannyasi in the world lives on the Grihasthasram only. So which is the best ashram? It is action. Karma is more important. That's why Swami Vivekananda also gave a lot of importance to Grihasthasramis. He did not give speeches to the other people. And Brahmachari, you have to be a Brahmachari, otherwise you cannot get into Grihasthasram. Without learning, you don't get a good job. Okay, assume that you don't learn, but you did not get a job. Somehow you managed getting a certificate, and then you got a job. You have a Grihasthasram. Definitely there are a lot of conflict. That is what is today happening. I am a psychotherapist. I get a lot of counseling problems. If you look at the problem, somehow they manage to get into a power and position. If every world doesn't understand, at least your family will know. Husband and wife, spouse will know. Your children will know that you don't have any merit and then you are trying to pretend. So whom are you cheating? Your own family members. So what will happen? Once upon a time you are very happy you got a higher position, but at your own house it is not recognized. So what will happen? You will feel at the end of your life unhappy. So being materialistic, at the end of your life you are unhappy. Probably they will not be happy even if they go to Vanaprastha or Sannyasa also. So those people who are much better during the Brahmacharyam, that means that ashram you are good, Grihasthasram you are good, then Vanaprastham and Sannyasam you will become happy. That Sannyasam is spirituality. And that time you should have love, you should have bhakti. To whom? Every living being in the world, non-living being in the world. You have to look at everybody equal. But that you should not start from the Brahmacharyam and the Garhastya time, finished. But then it doesn't mean that you have to be at the age. Your goals and expectations can change, or you can have a mix of these feelings inside you. So, but life cannot be watertight compartment saying that no, I am a Brahmachari and then Grihastha, then Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. No. Whatever Brahmachari will also learn more in the Grihasthasram. When it comes to Vanaprastham also, you will be staying in a house with your grandchildren, sharing them the knowledge. And you will also learn many things from them. But then sannyasam is actually a renounced life, but renunciation is not renouncing from the societal commitment. You are supposed to share anything, not by forcing with your power and position, by invitation. If somebody calls you, and then you should tell what is that they want. That's it. That is what is required. So it is both a karma, jnana yoga, but internally, if you look at it in Bhagavad Gita, what Arjuna wanted to us, the Raja Yoga. That is what is given in the, and today where is it applicable? Okay, because I am not going to be ruler. The Raja Yoga ability is running an organization. Now today your family is an organization, because you have a Swadharma, to a family dharma, to a societal dharma, to a religious dharma, to a business dharma, to an institutional dharma, to a government dharma. So everything is an organization. So your karma plus Raja together becomes an organizational activity which you do. As a self, how do you do becomes your Jnanam plus Bhakti together. And this combination, this adjustment, this validation is what Bhagavad Gita talks about. Probably there could be different interpretations, different paths. And if you look at the whole Bhagavad Gita, that is all dealt by driving you with a Shraddha and faith to Dharma, to tell what is right. And what is your fight and plight? What is your fight and flight? Where do you want to reach? How do you control? How do you go into the root cause of my human sufferings, ills, ego, problems what we have, envy, desire, anxiety, ego, all these, how are you going to balance in different situations? And why should I be good and how should I be good? And how do I control my grief when there is a conflict? And how and what happens to that? That is what is Bhagavan talking in the Bhagavad Gita as a great message of love and peace. Therefore, it is not peace without fighting with somebody else. It is first you have to fight internally to create your attitude. Who is fighting? Actually, it is a fight inside yourself. So, Lord's message is to fight within each one of us how to take care of your indriyas. Indriyas are the driving force, but indriyas are not driving. There is a manas inside you. The mind is what is controlling the indriyas. How do you do that? That is what the essence of Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter, I think 23rd sloka or somewhere, it says, you have to Uddared Atmanatmanam Atmanabhava Sadhayet Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandhu Atmaiva Ripuratmanaha. You have to take your buddhi and manas to the Atma level. And that Atma level is what creates your life much better. How do you do that? That is what Yogakshemam. Ananyas Chintayantomam. That's in the 9th chapter. Ananyas Chintayantomam Yejana Paryupasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Mahamyaham. If you surrender yourself with full devotion in all actions you do, actually Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna. Your actions are controlled by not by your buddhi and manas, it is controlled by Atma. So how do you surrender to Atma? To take him to that, the concept of Atma, the higher soul is being introduced from the 2nd chapter. It runs through the whole Bhagavad Gita. So, knowing the knower is understanding that self, higher self, that Atma, who is going to control Arjuna, not in the war alone, even after the war, not to tell what he has done is a mistake. What he has done is not a mistake. He has to satisfy himself. The biggest conflict in human today is we do something and soon after that we will start blaming ourselves. Why did I do this? I should not have done this. That feeling should not be there. If you can get rid of that feeling, then you are a divine person. You are a Atmiya Purusha. Because you are not controlled by your buddhi or manas, you are controlled by the Atma within you. The self within you. So how do you understand what is my self within me wants? That is what the title which I wanted to give you as Know Your Knower. Hridaya Guhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram. Understand the Brahma concept within you who wants something. And that person, you have to be surrendered to God so that no conflict. So who is your driver? The driver is the God himself. Who is controlling your path? The driver. And that is why symbolically Arjuna, the body, the manas, which is fluctuating in me, is being controlled by the Atma, the Krishna, who is the Bhagavan. That is what is symbolically shown in Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna with a driver, Krishna. So each one of us should have a driver, Krishna, within us, who will be controlling our action. So tomorrow, probably I will take sloka by sloka to show you where and how he is driving. More emphasis to 2nd chapter, that is what Dr. Jayanti asked me. But you cannot do 2nd chapter without having reference to all the chapters because it's abstract. I will not chant any of the slokas in another chapters, or maybe I will not be able to tell because there are hundreds of slokas in which this concept has come. I can give you numbers and references. Probably you can read and then come back to me at any point of time. I can just talk. Okay? Because I have got, what I done is each sloka by sloka I have a cross reference and marked. This is almost 20 years of my job. So if you ask me one sloka, I can tell you in which sloka the connection is given in different paths. So I will keep on giving cross references from chapter 1 to chapter 2 to subsequent chapters. Chapter 1 is never referred to by anybody in the Bhagavad Gita. After the second chapter, it keep on giving cross references. So namaskaram to all of you. Thank you, Sinha Sab, for being with me, and then I took cue from what Sinha Sab said, the other conference, Yuga Dharma also, and here also, I never wanted to start like this. But then since Sinha Sab started, I think he is the keynote speaker. The chavi is given by him opened, so I have to open and get into that door only. Otherwise, I thought I will start taking slokas and then start explaining. So nice thought process is given in me, so I made a few pages, and this is what I have talked to you today. So thank you, God. It's a great fortune to be like a person, like, Sattvic person. Like we can talk about this from only the Rajas, Tamas, Sattvic version also. If somebody would have touched that, that would have been my path. So I am driven by path. What is shown by my great, philosophers like people like Sinha Sab. So thanks a lot by being with me, and Dr. Jayanti is always with me. We missing Swati Pal today, otherwise we would have heard a beautiful words from her also. I'm sure there are a lot of teachers from different organizations. Yeah. I'm seeing
you,
from...
Sir, actually, Principal Ma'am is busy. She said she was supposed to come, but she's busy with some kind of important...
I'm so glad that there are a lot of audience. I have seen people joined from Mangalore to Delhi now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So good that it's almost India representation. So I'm sure Delhi students are always from all part of the country, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So it's nice.
Very nice talk.
Thank you, sir. So Simran, thank you for the nice words.
Sir, we have some kind of, I think, 1 or 2 questions maybe.
Yeah.
Sudhya Ma'am will that.
Yeah. Welcome.
I'm leaving the forum open for anybody who wants to ask Dr. TPS any questions.
Or Sinha Sab is
I
there.
can't see any in the chat box. So I think I leave it open to the participants if they wish to ask, or they could type it and I can ask it on their behalf.
Pooja Gupta is there.
Sir?
Yeah, Dr. Pooja Gupta is also there.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I want to ask that how our Atman soul is connected to the Brahm, the universal soul, the absolute truth.
How is the spark in a fire connected to the fire? It is one and the same. How is the water is connected to the wave?
It is the same, it is there only.
Yeah, wave is not there, water is not there. Water is not there, wave is not there. So we are all connected. So it is all that it is given in different pots like each one of us.
Okay, sir.
That is what Bhagavad Gita says, it's not me. So the time our pots are smashed, it will rejoin. Where does it rejoin? Rejoin back to the same source. That is what we wanted with moksha. That is what we say. I wanted to get to moksha. Where should I go? I should not go and get into some drainage. Instead of that, I must get back to the source.
Okay.
It may go, but it will take more time. If you are very good, it will take less time. I have got a small poetry book in which I talk about what is life. You must all read that. Most of my poetries in life of love poetries are all based on Krishna's life, Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti. When you read first instance, you will like a teenage love. But if you think about read it 2 times, then you will get spirituality coming inside you. Because that's how I wrote that poetry. Yeah.
Dr. TPS Sashikumar, there's another question from Aditi, and she is asking that to become the idealistic person according to Gita, there is a deliberate need to act towards it,
Yeah.
which again you said needs a materialistic subject to pull us in.
Yes.
Which is that material subject to chase?
Actually, indriyas are given to all of us to get satisfied. Desire is part of life. Without a desire, what is world? Why all the different rasas tasting that is given to our tongue? That is to taste different things. How can I say that no, I will not taste anything which is hot, which is sweet, which is sour, which is everything has to be tasted. That is given by same Bhagavan, right? But what is essential? I must have an inner source within me which is controlling my desire. What is controlling my desire? My Brahma, my creativity asks me to tell what is that I want. That is Brahma. And that rasam in me, what is that rasam? The taste in me. The taste in me has to be Sarasam. What is Sarasam? That is Saraswati. That is why Brahma's wife is Saraswati. So what should I taste? I should taste only good things. What is good and bad? It depends on my age. It depends on my company. It depends on where I am, whose putra and putri I am. All that matters. What is good and bad is undefined in any place. That is why dharma is undefined. Dharma is where, when, why, how, what, in front of whom I am doing. See, husband and wife has to produce children, but that is not bad. But that is not what is to be shown to their children. So there is something which is to be shown to somebody, there is something which should not be shown to somebody. So good and bad is in front of whom? Meeting somebody, patting somebody is not wrong, but meeting somebody, patting somebody in a secret place is bad sometimes. Maybe the way you meet people in India is not correct in the way in which you meet people in America. Entirely different. So it is time, space, where, when, who, why, with whom. All that matters. So these are all part of our indriya, which the desire doesn't change. From a small childhood to until your death, the desires are not changing. But what is adding? We believe that we are a human being, we are a social being. Therefore, we should not become, no, you have to be human and we have to be social. And therefore, there needs to be a sophistication. We are not accidental, we are not simple. Whatever we think you should not do. There are a lot of lessons which comes from different aspects. So what is the pulling force behind us is our desire. But what is stopping us is dharma. Where is dharma kept? Dharma kept in the buddhi. The desire is in the manas. So it's a conflict between the mind, the manas and the buddhi, the intellect. I wanted to meet somebody, the manas will say. Immediately buddhi will say, no, not now. Stop, keep quiet. So this control is essential. That is what is balanced. After some time what will happen? Even if I say a beautiful thing, I will not see that. I don't want to see that. Though I may see, I may not even look at it. This could be the portion. Or you may still do it, but you don't have that in your manas what you are doing. There is a great story. Chinmaya Swami almost all the time he quotes that. I don't get a better story than that to quote. A guru and disciples were traveling and he has to cross a river. There was a beautiful girl trying to cross, but she couldn't cross. So immediately what the guru did? Guru took her in his arms and then helped her in crossing the river. And at the other side of the river, the guru left that beautiful girl. And they started continuing the travel. During the travel, there will be a lot of stories being shared to the disciples. You must understand most of the stories are meant for the guru being a gentleman and the disciples are all male members. No ladies are there, right? So automatically what happened? The disciples started asking after 2 days, Guru, what you did the 3 days back, while crossing the river, you lifted a girl. That time you were touching here and there. That was not correct. See, then Guru said, as soon as crossing the river, I left that girl there. But you were carrying her for last 2 days. That is the problem. Helping her to cross is not the problem. but in your manas you are polluted, you keep on traveling with that aspect. But what happened to Guru? As soon as the crossing is over, he left that girl there. I have got a guru called Nitya Chaitanya Yati. You must read lot of, he's a great psychological expert, not a philosophical person. He was a psychology professor in many universities. And he wrote Swadhyayam, how to read Bhagavad Gita and learn by yourself. Swadhyayam by Nitya Chaitanya Yati, Bhagavad Gita. You will see lot of psychological interpretations. There are many instances he says, he was a sannyasi, but when he goes abroad in America and then come back, his disciples will ask, what was your experience? How is that? Then he say, yo, American girls are so beautiful. Then immediately the disciple asks, what is that you are saying? Then he used to ask, does it mean that the Swamiji should not talk about the beauty in the world? See, there is a misconcept. The concept is, what you have in mind when you speak nothing wrong. Hiding inside you and then holding inside you, and then you are mesmerizing people with an activity which you do entirely different is the worst thing. So everybody has desire, everybody has indriyas, everybody has got the sense organs to understand the world. Everything has to be open, but you are not bounded to that. The bondage is not there. The bondage is not there means I like to have tea, but without tea I will not get a headache. I may wear beautiful shirt, but doesn't mean without that shirt also I will walk around. I am not driven by that desire. That doesn't mean when somebody will give I will not wear. That is not that. That's what it is. So it has to be seen entirely different. How to control, how to balance.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sashi Kumar. I request my colleague Dr. Sipu Jaiswal to give a vote of thanks. Sipu.
Sipu, are you there?
Yes, Didi, I am here only. और बहुत खो गई थी सुनने में सर के वक्तव्य को, और हम अपने विभाग और महाविद्यालय की तरफ से सबसे पहले हम इस महाविद्यालय के द्वारा जो आयोजित हमारे डिपार्टमेंट के द्वारा सेमिनार है, मैं उनका आभार प्रकट करती हूँ डॉक्टर स्वाति पाल का, जिन्होंने हमें ये प्लेटफॉर्म उपलब्ध कराया। वो हमेशा हमारे साथ रहती हैं और हमें इस तरह के आयोजनों के लिए कभी कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शंस नहीं लगाती हैं और बहुत इजीली परमिशन देती हैं, तो उनका बहुत बहुत आभार। एंड ICPR से हमारे बीच सर मौजूद हैं, RP सिंह सर जी, तो मैं सिन्हा सर जी, उनका भी मैं बहुत बहुत आभार प्रकट करती हूँ, क्योंकि हम सब ने देखा है कि जब भी कभी जयंती पी साहू अप्रोच करती हैं तो सर हमेशा सहर्ष स्वीकार करते हैं। तो सर आपका भी बहुत बहुत आभार। और शशि सर, आप तो है ही, आपके जो तरीका है बोलने का इतना सरल और सुगम है कि जो फर्स्ट ईयर के हमारे स्टूडेंट आए हैं वो भी बहुत इंजॉय कर रहे हैं और वो सुन रहे थे आपको सर। और हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि फिर जब भी कभी हम आशा करेंगे आपसे तो आप हमारे साथ ज़रूर देंगे। आपका बहुत बहुत आभार। और साथ ही हमारे जो कोऑर्डिनेटर टीम है हमारे पूरे डिपार्टमेंट में, डॉक्टर रूपलेखा खुल्लर, डॉक्टर सुधन्या कुलकर्णी और डॉक्टर जयंती पी साहू, हिमांशु मैम, आप सुलग्ना एंड वेल, उपेंद्र, आप सबका बहुत बहुत आभार। और हमारी जो स्टूडेंट यूनियन है, सिमरन और स्वास्तिका, उनके साथ सारे जो उनके सहयोगी सहपाठी हैं, उन सबका बहुत बहुत आभार। और सर, हम कल के सेशन के लिए फिर हम सब यहाँ उपस्थित होंगे और हम उम्मीद करेंगे कि सारे स्टूडेंट्स, डिपार्टमेंट और जो हमारे अतिथिगण हो हमारे साथ हों। आप सबका बहुत बहुत आभार आज की संध्या के लिए।
Thank you, Dr. Sipal.
So thank you, sir. Thank you, Sashi Kumar sir and Professor Sinha sir. And thank you so much. Always you accept our invitation. Thank you so much. And thank you, Surendra ji, and providing us the Zoom platform.
Sinha Saab, thank you for being with us and then blessing this.
Thank you. I was